We're Whither the Tide.
And you're watching
Meet the Locals.
So I think we're here with Whither Not Irritate. When I'm doing our segment Meet the Locals, I'm sitting here with Whither the Tide in Minneapolis. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for coming in.
Good. We're not doing much good, but we're doing well.
Probably because you didn't do yoga before then.
That could be.
So introduce
Next
yourselves. Guess you're starting.
I guess I'm starting. Yeah, I'm Matthew Walworth. I play guitars.
My name is Jeremy Montoya, and I sing.
And I'm Bobby Ray with bass. That's my real name.
Okay.
That is-
You guys describe your music.
Oh. Well, I'm just going to do a little bit of a cliche here and say we don't exactly fit any specific genre.
Okay.
Our music is unique. No, it's really, it's rock. It's hard rock, it's metal, it's industrial, it's electronic.
Yeah,
So-
we definitely have a very heavily electronic influenced side of our music that we base, while they're not, I guess you kind of say like the meat and potatoes of our songs in a way, and they go through a lot of transformation, but how all our songs really start is just from the electronic digital side of exploring music instead of having organic instruments, taking our influences from loving such creators such as like Steve Aoki and a couple other ones Jeremy likes, I can't think of at the moment, and maybe even, we don't definitely, I don't know.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah,
is
Trent
his name.
Reznor, yeah.
Trent Reznor,
yeah. Jeremy hates it if I bring up Nine Inch Nails, but it's kind of one of the closest things to describe it as, to really fluidly describe our sound, is it's very electronic, industrial, heavy oriented, and then we incorporate a live organic element of drums and guitars with the industrial loops as well, so.
Yeah, so we take all the stuff. Really, where it comes from is that because we do start out a lot of the songs with the electronic side. We play a lot of video games. I've been playing video games since the Super Mario Brothers era. Before that, and instead of listening to Metallica or Guns N' Roses, I was taking the composite outputs on my Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and putting it into a 4-track recorder to capture the audio and then listen to that audio, foregoing most of the music that would otherwise have been heard by myself during the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the sound comes from. And then these guys get in there and they're like, oh, we can make this really good, and then they do, and suddenly people would rather hear it that way rather than just the video game sounds alone. So what do you think, Bob?
That's, like you guys said, and it captured it pretty well there. I do believe that it's, it falls under the guise of electronic rock, but
Yeah.
It pushes the boundaries to pretty extreme, to
To the point where we turn off most of our listeners. So yeah, we get our moments where it's just like, what the? Are we allowed to say curse words? What the fuck did we just do here? Well, usually then we go back and listen to it and we're like, oh, it's okay, let's just work on it a lot, and then it becomes something presentable. So once Bob joined the band, he's our newest member on bass, because for years we played without a bassist, and everybody's like, why don't you guys have a bassist? Well, so we didn't want to just have a bassist, so Bob's actually a guitarist, but he's a bassist guitarist in disguise. So it's working out pretty well.
guitar, string instruments.
Yeah, that's what he does. So
I think you guys do a unique sound from what I've heard. And I know you guys are working on the lunar phase part, or volume 2?
Volume 2,
Volume
yeah.
2.
Yeah,
So
volume
we
two.
kind of had this idea when we were going in, as a follow-up from the first record. We wanted to try and do we wanted to release stuff a little bit earlier, so we wanted to do more of a quicker. So we decided to come up with like a 2-part CD, Volume 1 and Volume 2 for the next album, you could say. So we released Volume 1, the Lunar Phase Volume 1. When did we do that? April? March?
June.
It's June?
Actually, I think
Oh
our
my
release show
gosh.
was July
Oh, okay.
something.
So it was
Somewhere in
June.
July 5th, yes.
So that was our idea for the next album coming out now that we're about to start tracking within the next week is Lunar Phase Volume 2. The Volume 1 is a little bit more driven by the industrial electronic side of what we are influenced by and what Jeremy likes and kind of what his headstrong creative personality is. Whereas volume 2, we're going to try to incorporate it the other way around, where the riffs and the instruments are going to be more organically riff driven with the drums and the bass and the guitars, and then the industrial side of it, the loops, are going to be incorporated as a secondary. Whereas on the first album, they were the meat potatoes. I say that again.
Right.
I said that twice now. They were the structure of the first album.
Right. With
So-
with volume 1, I kind of got to have my way. And just-
Yeah,
I'm like, I want this to
right.
be a bunch of loops, and it came out pretty
Yeah.
well. But the band is a lot more incorporated, and having Bob in there too has made a huge difference for the writing as well, because the four of us can work together and bounce ideas off, and also kind of fill out that sound in a different way. Before, when there were fewer of us, we couldn't really play the songs without the loops very well. But now with Bob in there, we have a complete sound without the loops turned on. So we've been able to write things without them at all and go back and kind of add loops to complement the music rather than music to complement the loops. Which isn't to say one way is necessarily better than the other, but it allows a different perspective in the music, and the writings become a little different this time around. The Lunar Phase Volume 1, which is, I feel it's a really, really good work. It's very strong. It's a little more focused in scope versus our first record from a couple of years ago. It kind of encompasses a concept of how the moon is basically a person, kind of. It sort of takes the scope of love, like how the Earth loves the moon, and the moon is kind of drifting away over time, and it can only see it during certain times. So the record starts out kind of like with how love is a very optimistic thing. You're very excited, it's a new experience, and as time goes on, it kind of has its ups and downs and jealousy, and now with the Volume 2 section of the record, we're going to make that transition where the moon reaches its highest point in the sky, and then it starts to come down. So we're moving towards a lot more of the more metal influences into our sound as the album goes on. More of the darkness, not necessarily lyrically, but there will be noticeable differences in the tone of the lyrics in Volume 2 versus 1. They're going to juxtapose next to one another. They will make a lot of sense, I think, but they're going to be on their own when you listen to one song off of the other. You might hear a bit of disparity, say from track 2 on the Lunar Phase Volume 1 versus track 6 on the Lunar Phase Volume 2. You may not know they're from the same album, or from the same concept.
I think we're definitely hoping to have some linearity between the two albums, but we wanted to try and offer a different creative side to who is in the project from, the first album to the second album and stuff like that. So we're not definitely trying to make a total black and total white album. They're completely different that we're going to release as a double when it's all said and done, almost like we release it. But just to showcase, it's all about being creative. It's about trying different things, and this is a good opportunity to commit to saying, hey, we're going to do one EP like this, and let's try and do one EP like that, but keep them linear in a way. It's still us. It's still the overall sound of how we started,
Right.
and what's influenced us. So.
Yeah.
So, back to you, though.
I was just going through answering all my questions without
Yeah, exactly. We can answer them all.
Band meetings are very long-winded for us, so let's just put it
I
that
like
way.
when bands talk more.
Yeah.
So, lyrically, where do you guys kind of pull inspiration from? Because I know when I listen to a song, I tend to be more about the lyrics, so I'm curious to know where you guys.
I pull most of my lyrics from a thesaurus. So I'm kidding. A lot of it is just,
It's probably just. I won't speak.
Well, Matt, I'd like to, I'll say what I think about him, and then we'll let Matty say what they mean to him, because I write my lyrics with as much poignancy and specifics as possible, but I like to leave a little bit of room for someone to decide what they mean. So I'm not going to say like, this house that you don't live in is burning. I would rather say this house that exists somewhere is burning. It might be yours. So that it leaves some open-endedness. I do, when I sing a specific song, when I do write the lyrics, there are very specific things in my mind that I write to. But by kind of fogging that in my mind a bit, I can sort of make it so it's more relatable to people and leaves a little bit of openness, so it can mean what you want it to mean in a way too. So this isn't just mine.
Yeah.
These lyrics could be something that you would like to say, that you would like to hear. Although, let me tell you, I like saying them and I like hearing them. Otherwise, I would have stopped if I didn't like listening to our music.
There's some truth to that. It's
right.
As far as we're our own worst critics and we're our own best fans at the same time. Like, if we didn't have a product that we believed in, that we loved, we wouldn't be here doing it. But at the same time, ego is in check. Like there's no room for egotisticalness. So I get that from the lyrics as well as the poignancy of being specific and non-specific at the same time. The sense to say like, here we are and here's what we feel, and maybe it's what you were trying to say. At the same time, you just didn't think of it that way or something. You know, it's
Right. No, it's kind
I
of.
should mention the three of us have all played individually in different bands with our drummer.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
who could not make it tonight. We'll
Yeah.
actually go ahead and say that right now.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm going to speak through him. Hello, I'm Richard Zazada. I couldn't be here tonight.
Hello.
I wish I could have been, but I really had, it was an emergency. Thank you. Yeah, we do have a fourth member, Rich Zazada, our drummer, couldn't
Yep.
make it tonight, so.
Who, Bob, you've known Rich the longest of all of us.
Yeah, that's the thing, we're all friends that
Yes.
go way back through other people as well. It's pretty cool, like Bob said, we have all individually played in different bands.
I mean, there's three
With
different
the
bands
same drummer.
at least.
Yeah.
I've been in a couple different bands with Rich, but at least.
And
three
now
different
I'm in a
ones.
different
And
band.
now we're all.
So besides Volume 2 of the Lunar Phase coming out, what else do you guys have in store for 2015?
It's just another building year. Like our focus is to do this next record and do it right. Like we all have been doing sort of pre-production on it in our own way, leading up to even tonight
Yep.
of just getting loops from Jeremy and getting foundations of songs and then trying to write on our own and then bring it to practice. We've already started the production process, so I think our focus definitely is to follow up the way we said, like when we originally planned to do this two disc album as two different EPs for one album, basically, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Is to see that through and follow up strong with the Volume 2 right now.
Right.
But we already have booked several shows.
None of them in Minnesota.
None of them in Minnesota.
Our focus is
Yep.
not playing around Minnesota. Mostly because I can't get.
Well, don't make it sound like we don't want to.
No, it's because I can't get people. Like I call them and they just don't know what's.
That's not
or
true.
email them.
No,
Get a
we're
hold
just.
of
I
it.
mean,
so much
it's
work.
everything is a working process.
Yeah.
So we, I mean, I think it's better to make sure you set your goals for something that's obtainable and reachable. And if a lot of things are booked for the summer and going on right now, like we're trying to spread the word and regionally increase ourselves. So I think that was why we chose to look more at booking outside of the local area to try to get to North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa,
Yeah, the fact of the matter
Wisconsin,
is-
Chicago. It's just to regionally try to get out there a little bit more. Because we're here every day anyway,
Yeah, people know
locally,
who we
and,
are.
and try to make a lot of noise without being annoying. But
Yep, playing with we've got a couple shows booked with a few other Minneapolis bands. We're just gonna go and do some stuff outside of Minnesota because there is a lot of talent here. There's
we're in a sea of it right now.
ridiculous amount of talent,
It's-
and it needs to get more attention. But the fact of the matter is, we have to make people like basically know that it needs attention, and we're not going to do that by just playing just in Minneapolis. There's
Right.
so much. There's a larger stage, and as good as it is here, the people that have seen us here have seen us. You know,
Yes.
they like what we do, or else or they hate what we do, depending on who the person is. Or I think it's terrible. But we need to let other people see what we do too.
Yeah.
So to do that, there's the internet, but there's also something to be said about actually going out and playing shows.
Yeah, we're not looking at just going out actually with just Whithered for the out of state shows. We actually are we've set up a little bit of a mini Weekend Warrior deal with
Yep,
a couple
taking
other
those.
local acts from the scene here,
Okay.
in
Yeah.
Vaudeville and Skyline and stuff like that.
And our live show is a little
Oh
different
yeah,
than,
yeah. Touch on that. I
than what
think
you would normally see. It's audio and visual, as there are two screens that go along with our music.
Okay.
Yep, we run a video production along with our songs that kind of we work with another friend of ours and ourselves to. I mean, it's so hard to describe what it is. Some of the stuff in the future that we're going to be doing for our video production for our sets and all this video that you would see. So it's basically two flat screen monitors, 30, 40 something inch on each side of the stage, and all the video correlates with the songs that we're playing in kind of the manner that we want it to, or that we see
Right.
visually.
It's
to
sequenced
do,
with the loops.
Yeah, it's almost like a lot of people say when you hear sound, you see color. You know what I mean? Like so we wanted to kind of incorporate that since we have such an industrial electronic mix as well as like, well, what if you shut your eyes and listen to our music? What would you see?
Yeah.
What would be the images that came across, and potentially what could we find that could help make that transition easier for people that necessarily don't get that sense when they close their eyes. So we're going to be doing new videos coming up for that. So that's a unique side to our element that I don't think a lot of people that we haven't actually promoted that hard because it's been something that we just did.
No, that's actually a secret.
It's within the last 6 months. If you haven't seen us live, you don't know that we do that. We're not like, hey, we run video with our shows.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a unique, different thing with the live show. So we're going to do a lot more of that. So we're setting up the next couple months to record new videos. Listen to it. If you like it, great. If not, that's okay. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, we just love what we do individually and collectively. This is a group that's still kind of getting discovered with the writing process and kind of like the original idea and scope of what the group was to begin with, you know. And it's so we're still searching. We're still working for it, and we're extremely proud of everything that we do when we put it out there. Like I was saying earlier, we're our worst critics and our best fans at the same time. You know, we wouldn't put something out there if we didn't actually think it was good artistically. And it's not saying it's better than other people's. It's just with ourselves. We're settled. We think it's good within ourselves. Like we creatively have put ourselves out there, and we have creatively taken that leap into the uncomfortableness of writing and trying new things and trying to push the boundaries of different genres. And so we're proud of it. We're happy for it. We want people to listen to it. And if they like it, awesome. And if they don't, that's okay. There's a lot of other music.
If you don't like it, give it a few more listens. It'll grow.
He's a harder sell than I am, I think. But
keep listening. Come on.
I think it's just the facet with all music, for me personally, is just there's so much out there and it's so great, and we're all here for one reason. Well, maybe not just one specific reason.
I'm here for 2 reasons.
But I mean, and that reason just being it's an art and it's something that you create from an emotion that is inside of you that doesn't only drive you, it helps shape the rest of your life and the dreams that you chase. And so we try to take snippets like photographers do of that inspiration, except ours are audio and not necessarily one moment visually captured in time. It's captured over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever it may be. And we're just trying to throw out there what we like, and the more people that like what you do, great. And if they don't, that's okay too. There's other stuff out there. Like it's all a community event. I don't understand why it's a competition. And you know what I mean? It shouldn't be a competition.
I think really to sum up Whither the Tide, what we are is just an idea, and we just try to bring it through as clearly as possible, unadulterated, using instruments that others don't necessarily. The electronics allow us to find any sound that we need. And what I hear in my head when I'm writing something, it used to be really difficult to get that out until this band came along, and as it is now. It's an outlet for me. It's personal, but it's also inspired by people I know. We write songs from life experiences, from people that we've met, from things that we think about. So really what Whither the Tide is just an idea, so that you can hear. It's an oral idea. That's clever right there. Oral ideas. That's mine.
Oral ideas.
So that's really what it is. Just coming to you as purely as it can be, for better or for worse.
Well, you guys clearly seem passionate.
Thanks. We rehearsed that passion, so.
Okay. Well, that's good. You did a good job.
Thanks.
8 days a week.
I want to thank you guys for sitting down with me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Where can we hear your music?
Yes, that. Where can we find you guys?
Oh, man. Everybody's got Spotify these days. We're on that.
Yeah, you can find us Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, Facebook. Not
Yes.
Twitter yet. I don't think we're staying. I think we've stayed away from Twitter. Haven't we?
I'm on Twitter. I
Alright.
tweet every once in a while. You can find us in most places. Amazon.
We try to make it as easy as possible to find us. So if you Google Whither the Tide,
It's a very unique phrase.
it's a unique phrase.
You're
as
not
well.
going to get many other things. You'll get like
Right.
"Whither Thou Ghost," and that's about it. So we'll come up. You can
So-
find us on Spotify. Please listen to it, put it on repeat, so you can spam it, and I get like 10 cents a day, which would
Oh,
be
come
excellent.
on.
It's very lucrative.
That was a cheap
So-
shot. Don't take him too personally. It's
Yeah.
full of jokes. What he
And,
really meant to say is just give it a spin, give it
yeah.
a like, you know.
iTunes,
we don't,
Amazon.
We don't matter. We don't do this to make money.
No, we do this to lose money. Actually, what we do this for. So, yeah.
It's a rabbit hole of investment, but I mean, what else would you want to do? Really? Come on. I don't want to spend that money on anything else anyway.
No, I don't really.
So
Yeah.
it's okay. It's not. We don't invest expecting a return from people. I don't think you should make music and expect things from people.
Last words. We're going to keep doing this. We do this for ourselves and for you to enjoy.
Yeah, check us out. Whither the Tide, Facebook, whitherthetide.com, all that stuff that everybody feels. We're out there, so.
And it's Whither with an H. Whither. Everybody always misspells it.
We'll put all the links below in the description
Yes,
too.
cool.
So check out Whither the Tide, check out Meet the Locals. We put out new interviews with new bands every Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time. So check us all out.
Yes!
Whither the Tide.
This is not good. Do it again. This is not working.
Alright, we'll do it all the same, guys.